Thousands of miles from home, you've been stranded with no money or possessions. For many people, such a predicament would make them despair and curse their awful fate. But for Zeno of Cyprus, it became the foundation of his legacy and life's work. The once wealthy merchant lost everything around 300 BCE when he was shipwrecked in Athens. With not much else to do, he wandered into a bookshop, became intrigued by reading about Socrates, and proceeded to study with and seek out the city's noted philosophers. As Zeno began educating his own students, he originated the philosophy known as Stoicism, whose teachings of self-control, tolerance, and virtue have inspired generations of leaders and thinkers. From the Stoa Poikilai comes the name Stoicism, the decorated public colonnade where Zeno and his disciples gathered for discussion. But while this captures important aspects of Stoicism, the original philosophy was more than just an attitude. The Stoics believed that a rational structure of the universe, which they called logos, results from a web of cause and effect that everything around us operates according to. And while we may not always have control over the events affecting us, we can have control over how we approach things. Rather than imagining an ideal society, the Stoic tries to deal with the world as it is, while pursuing self-improvement through four cardinal virtues: practical wisdom, the ability to navigate complex situations in a calm, informed and logical manner; temperance, the exercise of moderation and self-restraint in all aspects of life; justice, treating others with fairness even when they have done wrong; and courage, not just in extraordinary circumstances, but facing daily challenges with integrity and clarity. As Seneca, one of the most famous Roman Stoics, wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." But while Stoicism focuses on personal improvement, it's not a self-centered philosophy. At a time when Roman laws considered slaves as property, Seneca called for their humane treatment and stressed that we all share the same fundamental humanity. Nor does Stoicism encourage passivity. The idea is that only people who have cultivated self-control and virtue in themselves can bring positive change in others. One of the most famous Stoic writers was also one of Rome's greatest emperors. Over the course of his 19-year reign, Stoicism gave Marcus Aurelius the resolve to lead the empire through two major wars while dealing with the loss of many of his children. Centuries later, during his struggle for racial equality in South Africa, Marcus's journals would comfort and guide Nelson Mandela through his 27-year imprisonment. After his release and eventual victory, Mandela stressed peace and reconciliation, believing that while the injustices of the past couldn't be changed, his people could confront them in the present and seek to build a more just, better future. For several centuries in Greece and Rome, Stoicism was an active school of philosophy. As a formal institution, it faded away, but its influence has continued to this day. Even theologians such as Thomas Aquinas have admired and adopted its focus on the virtues, and there are parallels between Stoic ataraxia, or tranquility of mind, and the Buddhist concept of nirvana. One particularly influential Stoic was the philosopher Epictetus, who wrote that suffering stems not from the events in our lives, but from our judgments about them. With modern psychology and the self-help movement, this has resonated strongly. For example, rational emotive behavioral therapy focuses on changing the self-defeating attitudes people form about their life circumstances. There is also Viktor Frankl's logotherapy informed by Frankl's own time as a concentration camp prisoner. Logotherapy is based on the Stoic principle that we can harness our willpower to fill our lives with meaning, even in the bleakest situations.